You can't take it personally as much as they try to make it about you. Hurt people, and healed people heal people.
G'day, and welcome back to another episode of A Lot to Talk About. It is your boy, the captain of the ship, the man in charge, Bradley J. Dryburgh. You can call me Brad, and I'm so excited to be here, as always, but even more so today because our guest is just an absolute Aussie homegrown legend. She's the biggest name in the Australian fitness industry. She is the host of Raw and Real, the podcast. She's the brains behind Balance by Ashy Bynes, where you can train and eat with her online. She is the author of her very own book, the founder of her very own activewear brand, Baseline. And today she's here to share her story with each and every one of you. So from your home, your car, or wherever you are, give a very warm welcome to the one, the only, and the very lovely Ashy Bynes. Ash, how are you?
Wow, what an intro. I'm going to come here more often because you've definitely boosted my spirits today. Thank you for having me.
Hey, we've got to pump our guests up. It's an absolute pleasure and just really excited to connect. I find I always connect with my guests through having seen their content some way. And I like to know that the people I'm sharing story with have powerful and impactful stories to tell, but also that they've got great morals and they've got great values within their life. And the thing for me that was a real confidence booster to know that what I seen on the screen was really real is you've got a mutual friend, Mr. Taylor Cecil, who's an absolute gem of a human. And I'm like, any mate of Taylor's is an incredible human being. And I've been privileged to watch on your journey for a little while now. And I can see that you're doing so many amazing things. So thank you for being here.
Thank you. And yes, Taylor is an absolute legend. I've been working with him for close to 2 years now, and he's definitely transformed my whole life in so many ways. So it's awesome that we can now pass on different tips and techniques and hacks and wisdom that we've learned along the way with our audiences. So it's pretty cool.
It is very cool. And you've got an incredible audience and just such a great online community that you're so connected to and you're so dedicated to providing value. And I love that. I love that there's so much value to be found. And I know how hard it can be to keep up with content sometimes. And I look at what you're doing and, you know, you're providing value to over 1 million people online. You've got so many pages with the activewear, the podcast, you know, everything you're doing on Balance on the app. And is it hard to keep up with?
It really is. And there's one very important information that you missed. I'm also a mum to a little boy. So
yes.
Yeah, he takes main priority in most of my time, but I'm a very structured, planned person. I use an online app that every single day of every single week is planned out hour to hour, which I know to some people might sound stressful, but I really do love everything that I do. So it was a matter of like, okay, I don't want to have to cut anything out because everything I do has so much passion and purpose. And I've got this platform where I have this power to make a difference. How can I fit all of that in? So everything's color coordinated, everything fits in my schedule, and it just works and flows so beautifully. And if something isn't working and flowing, I kind of just sit back and go, is this the right path for me right now with this journey if it's not really flowing? So very planned, very organized, and very passionate about everything I do. So I make it work.
That's so good to hear. I love seeing people light up and smile when they talk about the things they do in their life. And you know, you mentioned it there, mum, and that is a full-time job in itself. And I've got two incredible parents that are the most amazing human beings on the planet. I'm very biased and they've literally changed my life and have been a huge part of the reason why I get to sit here and do what I do today. So I'm extremely and eternally thankful for them. And I'm
thinks about me like that one day. That's so nice.
I have no doubt. I have no doubt he will, because you know you can see your dedication and it's admirable, and I can see that. And it always brings me joy because my biggest value in life is people who love and appreciate their family, and I love to see that. And you know, I've got a little dog. I'm a dad of a dog, and that is incredibly hard. And I've got the help of his grandparents. So I can imagine how stressful it would be for you balancing all of this. But I'm really excited to dive into your story because, you know, quite often within the fitness industry, I used to be a PT way back in the days, right? When I was young, and a lot of the people I followed and a lot of the people that were connecting with big online communities at the time were US or UK based. So it's so refreshing to see our own Aussies getting amongst it and really doing powerful things in this industry. Where did this all begin for you?
I've always been a super sporty kid. I loved playing all sports, super athletic, just loved to be active. I think I genuinely enjoyed it. And then growing into my teens, which I feel like my childhood and my teenage years were really, really tough. It was almost like my outlet where I could go and de-stress and reconnect with myself. And it gave me the strength, not only physically, but mentally and emotionally to get through some more challenging periods. And then when I met my husband, well, obviously boyfriend back then, I was 19, and I always knew that I loved fitness and I wanted to help people. He'd been in the health and fitness industry for over 10 years. He's 9 years older than me. And he's like, well, a personal trainer is a perfect job for that. You get to help people and you're being active all day. And I was like, that's amazing. But I had this story that I was just too dumb to go and study. And I had this story all through my teens. It was such a limiting belief from my stepdad. We had a pretty awful relationship. So I just was too scared to go and do a PT course. Anyways, long story cut short, I lost my job. And while I lost my job in this time, I was 19, my partner had applied for government funding for me to go and do my PT course. So I went and did it, failed a couple of times, kept on trying, got my qualifications. And I'm so fortunate that my business partner and my husband have been in the health and fitness industry for over 20 years. They took me under their wing and I started training outdoors. We started a boot camp called the Ashy Bines Bikini Body Challenge. And it started off with 10 girls and 20 girls and 50 girls, 150 girls turned up one day. And we were like, oh my God, there was such a need for a community. It's not just this one-on-one, let's get shredded. These women are wanting to come together and support each other and empower each other. And our groups got so big, so we started to hire more staff. We opened one in Brisbane, one in Southport. And within 2 years, we've got 75 locations around Australia, one in New Zealand and one in LA, which was incredible. We did that for 7 years, which was just, so cool. I still miss it to this day. We stopped doing that because we opened up a gym on the Gold Coast, which we also had for 7 years. And I closed it down just before COVID hit, which was actually a blessing in disguise.
Yeah,
wow. But my journey throughout the fitness industry, I feel has changed so much. It used to be so much about what we look like and getting so fit and strong and competitive and almost, I don't know, not so much a holistic approach to health. And as I've grown and evolved and developed and had my little boy, which is nearly 6 years ago, I really changed it to be more of a holistic approach to about how you feel and your intentions behind everything, and how all my lessons and all the things I've been through, how can I use that as a beautiful gift to help other people? And the more I open up and be vulnerable about my struggles, not just with health and fitness and body image and all that stuff that a lot of women experience, but through life. And that's why I'm just so passionate about showing up each day online to share and be open and be vulnerable, because I want to normalize struggles. I want no one to feel alone. And I just want to be able to hold space for as many people as I can to get through some harder times. So I'm super passionate just about helping humans and making a difference in the world. And I've always promised myself, as long as I help one person a day, I will die a happy woman one day. And that's what I do every day. I show up and I make a difference. I'm really proud of it.
You should be. And I couldn't agree with that more. I'm a big believer that vulnerability is the bridge that connects human beings, especially strangers. And you can see how well you share that. And I've experienced some of that in my last year, sharing my story a little bit more, and it's powerful. And you don't realize, we often downplay how much our story and what we understand and know about life can impact others. And you're a pure and prime example of that. And it's so amazing to hear of how this has progressed over time. And, I'm never focused on followers, and, to me that means so little, but I'm definitely aware of the fact that, 1 million people it's so much better than helping just one or two, right? The more people you can help, as you said there, as long as it's one a day, but if you've got the opportunity to help 1 million people, well, that's it's changing the world to a degree. 1 million is a big sum. And I love seeing and hearing that. And one thing I'm really interested by is hearing about these boot camps that were really the kickstart to this community that you've built. What year was this? Because you speak about 7 or odd years ago, social's only just beginning to become fruitful at that point in time. So you would have been growing these in a different way to what your business would grow now.
Well, it'd be 11 years ago, and Instagram's been around for 10 or 11 years. Instagram wasn't quite out, but Facebook was like just getting really big. And that's how we kind of grew quite big, because no one online was sharing transformations. And when we got photos of our girls, we were like, wow, this is incredible. And I had like a small audience online. I was so proud of them. I just wanted to like show the world. And that's how it kind of spread around. But yeah, social media, it wasn't a massive thing there, but it's also been like the reason why we have been able to reach so many people.
Of course. And it's such an incredible tool. Like, I'm so grateful for social, and it has its positives where you can connect with a community like that, but it definitely has its flaws at time. And I know you're very open about talking about that and sharing some of your experiences. Has that been hard, to be a young person, and especially in a world where you were kind of growing with social, right? So you don't kind of have the chance to adjust to it. You're learning on the go. What was that like experiencing, I should say, not just the positives, but some of the negatives that come along with being online?
Very, very crippling. If I'm being completely honest, it nearly killed me. And in my book, I talk about this in a whole chapter. When we first started to get attention from media and negative attention online, I was so reactive. I was this, young girl just trying to find my way, trying to make a difference. And people are hating on me and accusing me of things and saying certain things. And I'm not saying I'm an angel and I've never done anything wrong. Of course, I've reacted or said things or done things that I shouldn't have done, but I'm the first to admit that and say sorry. But I feel like everyone makes mistakes, but when you've got a public platform, people almost put you on a pedestal and forget that you're a human being. And I know we have a sense of responsibility to be super careful about the information we spread and what we talk about. But at the same time, I always just want to remain authentic and talk about what flows naturally for me and my experience. But there was a really, really dark period. My little boy must have been like, I think 2 or 3 years old. And there was a couple of online hate pages just dedicated to me. And I'm not talking just a couple of hundred people. I'm talking tens of thousands of women. Ended up being 5 women on a roster that they would watch my Snapchats and Instagram stories 24 hours a day. They had a roster and screenshot everything, make funny memes, send the people on the forum over to my Instagram page to comment mean things. I got followed in shopping centers, followed back home, things thrown at me, death threats. I had to turn my comments off on Instagram for 6 months because I couldn't post anything without it just being bombarded with hundreds of hate comments. It was awful. And I just felt like I couldn't breathe. There was no light at the end of the tunnel. There's not one part of my day that wasn't consumed and worried with what's going to happen next. And are they going to come to my house? Like, I remember this one time my husband was away and he posted he was at the tennis in Melbourne, and they said, like, we know you're home alone, lock your doors. And I've got my 2-year-old up sleeping, and I'm just like, am I meant to call the police? And the police do nothing. Instagram and Facebook don't care about online bullying. They have the power to censor and to take down groups, and they just don't. It wasn't until we took legal action that we ended up getting the pages taken down. But in saying all of that, I'm really, honestly, hand on my heart, very grateful for what I've been through, because it forced me to grow. You grow through what you go through. And I got very thick skin. I'm very resilient. I'm very strong now, but I'm also really compassionate. And I really feel like I have a good understanding as to why people do the things that they do. And it's never about you. Like, you can't take it personally as much as they try to make it about you. Hurt people, and healed people heal people. And when I see someone projecting hate in a really aggressive manner, all I see now is a very unhealed person with a lot of trauma, a lot of pain, that they can't sit with that. So they just want to throw it onto someone else. And I just have so much sadness and compassion for them. I try and talk to them about it. Some people don't want to bar about, other people are straight away like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. That did trigger me and I took it out on you. I have very interesting conversations with a lot of people online, but I just don't believe that anyone is born evil. I don't believe that people wake up and go, oh, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on this show.
You can go for your life.
I want to fuck up Ash's day today. Like, I don't believe people think like that, but different people and situations can trigger certain emotions in people. And a lot of people don't know how to regulate themselves because they're not breathing. They don't have support. They've gone through trauma. They've got past experiences. They're comparing online, scrolling too much. They don't have purpose. They don't have passion. Like, there's so many reasons why people do the things they do. And I always just try to come from a place of understanding. And that's been my biggest work throughout all of this. But in saying that, of course, there is days where I'm just like, oh, like, really? Why? Like, but I handle it so much better these days. And especially if it's at me, I'm really stoked if someone comes at me, because I'm like, thank God they're attacking me, not a 13-year-old girl who doesn't have any support, any tools or techniques. And this could be the comment that tips her over the edge. So come at me because I can handle it. So I'm grateful that it comes to me, because people don't understand the power of their words in such a positive and a negative way. You can really change or damage someone's life. It's so much, it's so powerful. So we have to be so mindful and careful about the words that we speak online and offline, because we want to make a difference in people's lives in a positive way, not be the reason why something happens to them or they end up in a mental breakdown, or, I never want to partake in that. Why would anyone want to?
You know what? I agree with that so much. There's a few things that I take from that. The first thing is life is tough as it is. Like, life is challenging. Why make it any harder for anyone else? I think we live in a world where we're so exposed to content. We're so exposed to human personality more than ever because of social. And if you don't like something, you just literally don't have to comment. You don't have to message. You can, you just don't have to connect with it. It's not for you. And that's fair enough. Like, what I do isn't going to be for everyone. What you do isn't going to be for everyone either. But we should be uplifting people. And I'm so similar to you in the fact that I've not experienced any of that. And I've only experienced very small shades, which, anytime you're trying to create something online, you're going to, it's part of that process. But I was so reactive as a young guy. Like, I was, if someone said something to me and was trying to take the piss out of me, I was so reactive. I wanted to, like, violence as a young guy is like your first put to call, right? You're like, oh, well, that's the way to handle it. But you get nothing from it. You literally get nothing from it. And for me, it was hearing Gary Vee speak about it and him talk about how you've just got to tackle it with empathy, because that's someone who's going through something really tough and it's being projected on you, exactly like you said. And for me, like, learning that, you feel so much better about it when you come out the other end and you're like, I've handled that really well. And if that person doesn't respect me now, that's their issue, not mine. And I've learned to deal with that. And, I think it shows incredible resilience within yourself to be able to work through all of that, especially the way you've described that there. That's not just, Sally up the road not liking what you do on Instagram. That's incredibly tough to get through that sort of torment. So huge respect to you, because that takes so much resilience and character, and the way you've been able to flip that and give so much positive content out and continue to be you and continue to be authentic and get through that tough time. Yeah, it's amazing.
And I want to show everyone too that, like, you can get knocked down, but I'm always going to get back up. No matter how much they try and knock me down, I've just, like, shown myself that I've been through so much and I always show up. And I've seen other people experience online hate now. And I just love that I can reach out confidently and say, I feel you and I hear you. Because the loneliest part and the hardest part with going through that is I had no one around me that really understood what it was like. I'd reached out to a lot of friends that have millions of followers as well. And they were like, I've never seen so much hate. Like, I haven't dealt with that. I don't know what that feels like. And it made me feel so isolated. Whereas now, when I see other people go through it, I'm the first to even if I don't know them, I'll reach out and just be like, I don't care why they're hating on you or what you've done. Are you okay? I'm here for you, because we need each other. And I don't ever want anyone to feel as alone as what I felt going through that. So that's also a beautiful gift. And imagine if my little boy has to experience this, like, I'm going to be so equipped to help him through that. And that in itself is the biggest gift in the whole situation. I'm so grateful I have that now.
Without a doubt. I agree with that. And like we said, parents are the biggest part of a child's life. And I'm so grateful for the lessons I learned off mine. And I can imagine that your little man will be grateful for that too. Talk to me about the growth of a social, right? So if you're going to, now you're at 1 million followers, is that stressful? Is that hard to manage? Because you're very active. Like, I remember messaging you and your team over email and over DM. We connected then later. And I was thinking, my chances of this getting seen are pretty low, because when you've got that many DMs coming in and that many people connecting, it's almost impossible, right, to deal with it all. It is. So you do a very good job of actually connecting with people and replying and getting back and making people feel seen and heard. Has that been stressful to manage that over time as you've seen rapid growth in your audience?
Yeah, there has been times, but I want everybody to feel like a somebody, because everyone is a somebody. So regardless of how many followers I have or how many messages I get, like every single one of those are important, because everyone deserves to be heard and felt. And that's a big pull why I get out of bed each day, is because I want to help them. So whether asking a health question or a life question or what I'm wearing that day, whatever, like I love connecting. So, you know, in saying that, over the years, it is a lot. Some days there's thousands in there. So I have a personal assistant and she helps me jump in there, and she'll always let me know, I think you need to read this message. And, you know, we tackle it together. Other days I do it all, she does it all. We just help each other. But I just think connection is the most beautiful thing. It's such a high value of mine. So I would be pretty sad if I wasn't getting all DMs and comments where I could connect with my audience and make a difference. I can make a difference and change someone's complete day, week, or year just by talking to them online. Like that's so amazing. Like
conversation is powerful.
How lucky am I that I'm in a position where I can make that big of an impact on someone in America or England or whatever, just by having a conversation with them. That's incredible. Like I'm the lucky one that gets those messages.
Yeah, conversation is incredibly powerful. I agree with that. And, you know, watching you build this community and having these people around you who are getting so much from it, you've obviously then gone and built and pivoted off and created these businesses where you want to give value to people in all areas of their life. And, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but the foundational one is Likely Balance, which is your training and your nutrition platform. Talk to me about the creation of that. How much of that is you creating a well-rounded approach to health and fitness, and how much of it is just the stuff that you love doing, and, you know, what balance looks like for you?
Yeah, I mean, our apps, we've had multiple apps. So as I've changed and evolved, our apps have changed and evolved. We've had 28-day booty challenge, 28-day ab challenge, we have keto challenge, we've had alkalizing challenge, we've had a squad app where it had so many courses and this and that. And at the end of all of that, over the last 2 years, we launched Balance. I just was like, I think I'm trying to please everyone. I think I'm trying to make sure everyone is covered. But at the end of the day, I just want to teach how I believe is a really holistic, balanced way. And balance, everyone knows that I'm known for the word balance. That is just like goals for me, to be balanced, to be enjoying everything that you love in your week, that makes you feel good, that's contributing back to the world. So I really want to simplify my app. Most people just want, you know, help and motivation, accountability to train, and lots of healthy, nourishing recipes. So that really is like the core of my app at the moment. We are working on a few things to bring in some different challenges and accountability and motivation for next year. But the app now is very, very simple. And we've got a forum where I chat to the girls and answer all their questions. Myself and Levi, who's my business partner, he's a naturopath, nutritionist, personal trainer. He's done every course under the sun. He's like walking Google when it comes to health. He's like a tailor. Yeah. We do a live chat each week, and we choose a specific topic and talk about it. And that goes for about an hour every Tuesday that the girls get access to. And that's really, really powerful. It's like me and you chatting now. It's just a beautiful flowing conversation where we can answer all the questions and help them with things they might be struggling with, or just areas they want to learn more. So, but everything I've done, all of my businesses, because I've got multiple and awesome collaborations too, they all still revolve around like wellness and helping people. Like whether it's my activewear, it's not just activewear. When women wear my clothes, I want them to feel empowered and motivated to make change to their, not only their bodies, but their health. It's like a Superman cape when they put on the activewear, that I want them to feel empowering. There's such a deep message behind the word baseline. I have a collaboration with More Life. We have clean treat balls. That in itself, like my little boy can't have dairy, but I want him to enjoy sweet things. I love sweet things. I've got a sweet craving. So being able to create these vegan, healthy, gluten-free, dairy-free, beautiful tasting bliss balls that don't just taste like dates, because that's what I feel like a lot of healthy treats taste like, is awesome. And to get messages from mum saying, oh, my little girl can't have dairy and gluten either, these are a lifesaver, like that's cool. The app's amazing. Everything is still revolved around just helping people, and it all flows and works in together, like dances together. It's so cool.
It's like a jigsaw puzzle, isn't it? All those pieces come together and create a really beautiful picture, which is that balance. And you speak about that word, and that's almost your buzzword, right? Balance. What does that look like for you in a week? Because you've spoken about how important it is for you to schedule and to have a routine and to know where you've got to be and what you got to do. So how does that start? Because I've watched on, you know, I'm fascinated by people that I'm inspired by, and whether that be creative brains or athletes. And I love to see what their anchors are in their life. You know, The Rock talks about it a lot. He's got that anchor of getting up at 4 a.m, training, and no matter what is ahead of him for that day, once that anchor's locked in, like you're set and you feel stable with that foundation. What does that look like for you?
I think in a nutshell, when I first started really, when I felt really overwhelmed with all of my roles and jobs and being stretched and trying to juggle all the balls in the air, I wrote down on paper and I said, what's important to me? And it was like family, friends, fitness, health, food, me time, self-care. And then from that, I was like, okay, well, how do I fit all of that in? What does each of one of those look like? What does self-care look like? What do I need to do to look after myself? What does fitness look like? How many times a week do I want to train to feel good? What does connection look like? It's a date night with my husband. It's having one set day where I have with my little man. It's, catching up with my mum. I have one night a week where I see my girlfriends. It's like everything is planned out to fit it all in, because before I did that, it was like, it's so easy to be consumed by work. There's always stuff to do. Yeah. My list of work, it's never going to end. And, I've got low battery.
Do you want to plug in?
Yes. Can you give me 2 seconds?
Yeah, go for it. Go 2 seconds. That's all right. Little tea break for the audience.
There we go.
Hey, we said raw and real, and what's more real than low battery on a Mac when you're in the middle of something important. So no, look, following on, and I agree with that so much. So for you, that's having those fundamental elements. It's scheduling time with your loved ones. It's training. It's obviously eating well. And, that's a big part of what you do. What are the little joys for you, those moments in the week? And I know you're going to say it's time with your family, but are there any things that, what I found to be really fun for me in the last 12 months is to pick 1 or 2 things that I want to get better at or learn and really dive into them. Is there something like that in your life at the moment?
Yeah, well, as I said before, I grew up doing a lot of sport, and then entering the fitness industry, I was just like gym. And then I had my little boy, and I was like more about balance and like looking after my body and just tuning in and not having to smash and bash my body all the time. And in the last 6 months, I was like, I really miss netball. I really miss dancing. Like I miss doing sport. Like I miss being in a team environment, feeling empowered. So I joined up on a netball team and I started dancing. And I've danced now for nearly a year, and I've only done like 5 games of netball, but I'm loving doing sport again. It really lights me up. Like it's like the highlight of my week. I love it.
A little bit of competition is healthy too, hey?
So competitive.
Yeah, I'm the same. So competitive. It's funny, I run a lot, and that's sort of been new to me the last year. And I've got so many mates who are just incredible runners. So the competition kind of never ends because they're always edging me out. So it drives you so much to train, because I'm like, one day I'm going to be fitter and faster than you blokes, but it keeps you going. And I think it gives you a healthy sense of mindset when you go into your business stuff. You feel sharp, and I feel like you feel on. And for you with the dancing, I actually noticed that on your story the other day, and it's something I didn't realize with you. How's that been? Just something where you can almost shut your mind off, I can imagine.
Yeah, definitely. And, the type of dancing I'm doing at the moment, it's called heels, and it's definitely more sensual. And when I first started doing it, I copped a lot of hate online. People were like, oh, that's slutty. What's your little boy going to think? And I was like, oh, these moves are so much more than just looking sexy. It's so empowering to tap into that feminine energy of flow. And being a business owner and being a parent, it's very masculine. It's very structured. It's very organized. It's goal orientated. It's deadlines. So living that most of my week, I'm feminine at my core, and I really want to tap into that flow. And when I do that on a Monday night, I feel like it just recharges my batteries for the whole week. And I feel that just helps my relationship with myself, my partner, and I just feel so much more flowy, and that just, it overflows into everything else I do. So it's so much more than just like these sexual, sensual moves in high heels. It's really about a feeling for me that I get when I dance. And I danced my whole life growing up, and I really forgot how that makes me feel.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, something for me, I lost competitive edge for a few years. Like before I dived into this creative world, I was a real estate agent, bloody, suit and tie, the greasy haircut, had the works going.
Competitive, isn't it?
It is, but I think there's something about being naturally and athletically competitive that is just at the core of each of us as humans. And I was so like I played sports 7 days a week growing up, and I lost that for a couple of years, and I missed it. Like I craved it so much. So to find something I could dive into again, and for me at the start it was Muay Thai. Like it was a couple of days of that. And it was kind of like the way that I could turn my brain off at the end of a big work day, go and think. And you kind of can't think about much else than Muay Thai when you're there, because if you do, you get kicked in the head. Like you've got to be, you know what I mean? You've got to be on. And then that's transferred now to running for me. And I was speaking with my last guest about the foundation of getting up, going for a run in the morning, jumping in the ocean. And for me, having that routine, if I miss that, my day just feels like a shambles. It feels like I can't get on top of my workload. I feel out of structure and out of balance. And so for me, it kind of centers everything that I do to have that foundation of my health and my competitive nature to kind of like scratch that itch early in the morning.
Yeah.
With all you're doing, you've got the activewear, you've got the podcast. These things have obviously come into play and become passions. Is the business side of you, is there that entrepreneurial core where you've always felt like that's been a part of you? Have you had to develop that as you've gone through and realized these opportunities have popped up and there's been an opportunity to provide value to the people who follow you and join in on your community?
Definitely not natural. No. I've definitely had to develop and make a lot of mistakes along the way to learn my lessons to help me, today. But in saying that, my husband, very natural for him. He is not one to work for someone else. He likes to run his own ship, and he's so obsessed with learning. He's so motivated and committed and loves expanding himself. So I think, and my other business partner as well, all three of us are so different in our personalities and have such different strengths. So I suppose I've been quite blessed to always us three working together. It's flowed so nicely because things that I, like me, even being the front end of the business, the face off, I love it. Levi and Steve couldn't think of anything worse. Like they don't want to be amongst that, but behind the scenes, they have what they do and it all just flows so well. So I've never had to do anything by myself. Steve and I first started it and it was very hard trying to do all the roles. And we, I don't know how we got through. Our first website would have looked so bad, but we got through. And these days it's so much easier with apps and stuff. And like, I don't know, I feel like it's easier these days to figure things out, even on YouTube, like how to edit a video, everything's at our fingertips. So we're pretty lucky, but yeah, I think it's been teamwork makes the dream work, and I wouldn't be able to do anything without my team, especially Levi and Steve. So I definitely credit a lot of what we do because of them.
It's funny you say that and you speak about teamwork. One thing that I listened to at the start of this year, which I found really impactful, was I come across a guy by the name of Ben Crow. Ben's an Aussie guy, and he's kind of like a mindset coach for some of the biggest and best athletes in the world. He's done a lot with his Ash Barty's mindset coach, and he was Andre Agassi's, and he's done an incredible job of sharing the really human side to athletes. And he spoke about it in a podcast where he said, nobody, no matter who you are or what you do, can get through life alone. We all need support. We all need teamwork. And I'm so big on that. And it's something for me that I've sort of started this, and this platform is so small. It's, I'm crawling at the moment and I'm learning to walk, and I can't wait until I'm sprinting and running. And I've just enjoyed all that journey and soaked all that in along the way. But I've started to build a team around this now that, make it exciting and make it fun. And I feel like, life is to be enjoyed. And when you get to share it with people, especially people you love, like your partner and your business partner, and to have those connections, it makes it all the more exciting. So I think so true. And I think for some people hearing this, they might think, well, I don't have a business, or I don't have a platform where I get the opportunity to do that. But I think you can do that in your personal life, right? You create that community and that circle that you feed off, and you learn and you grow together. For people listening, what are some things that you think can help in your personal life? Some little, some little pointers or a bit of wisdom on the sort of things that should be a part of that foundational group.
Yeah, I mean, something just popped up for me that you were saying then, that like, if I don't have a platform, I don't have a business, I think something we always need to remember when we're in the comparing phase, we all started there. I didn't start with an audience. I didn't start with money. I didn't start with anything but me. Yeah. Raw, vulnerable. Here I am making lots of mistakes, figuring out as I go, losing money, risking money, like trying new things. Just like, people think that success is like this. Hey, you've seen that meme before, and it's just like, it's so up and down, and it's never too late to start. Like you see these brands online that just think of something so simple, but like game changing, and it spreads like crazy because social media gives us the opportunity to reach millions of people, even if you've got a small audience. Like TikTok at the moment, it's incredible. I wish I spent more time on TikTok but for anyone starting, like there are so many brands out there that just one of their videos goes viral because they've made it really funny. They're solving a problem, using the right hashtags. It's really engaging, using a trending sound or music, and that goes viral and they get their first 1,000 orders in, and it's the ripple effect on their business. Like we have so much opportunity online. If you believe that you can't do it, you won't be able to. But if you believe you can, you're already halfway there. And it's staying consistent, it's staying focused. And I think at the start too, you do have to sacrifice a bit of time. I mean, I'm in a really beautiful stage in my life now where I have a team and I'm quite balanced and I've figured out where I'm at and what I want to do. And I know my purpose. As you said, you're in the infant stage of your podcast. You're learning to crawl, you're learning to walk, and that, you know, we all have to grow. But just being kind to yourself in the process. Don't be afraid to reach out for help and say, I'm struggling, I don't know how to do that. Like reach out to people. People message me all the time, you know, asking questions about material or how I do my photo shoots or how I started a podcast. And I'm like, I just got my laptop, downloaded Zoom, and, you know, the sound of my first few were just terrible. I just figured it out and got it started. You know, we all have to start somewhere and you'll just get better and better. And if it's something that you're super passionate about and you really believe in, you'll make it happen. If it's a priority, like you will always find a way.
I agree with that so much. You know, something I learned last year with everything I threw myself into is purpose truly does fuel progress. And when you feel a real sense of purpose and drive to provide value in one way, shape or form through the things that you're doing in your life, it's just a powerful mix. And there's a sense of, there's almost like a sense of self-sacrifice where you're willing to spend the time because it means so much. And like for me at the moment, I'm juggling a few hats to try and, not because I need to, but I want to make this grow. So I'm like, I want to give 110% of myself to make sure that what I love to do and what my dream is actually reality for me one day. And so it's so inspiring to sit in front of someone like yourself and see what you've created. And you talk about starting the podcast and you're starting all of your platforms. And like you said, it all starts with one audience member or the first purchaser or, you know, we all start from the ground up. So for anyone listening, like never doubt that you can achieve everything you want to in your life. You know, that's what we're here for. We get one chance at this life as we know it, and you have to make the most of it.
100%. And like I said before, we've got so much information at our fingertips as well. Like you don't know how to do something, type it into YouTube. There is millions of videos on literally how to do anything and everything. So learn, like upskill yourself, ask for help, keep researching, keep listening, like be super aware of the information you're taking in. Like, are you mindlessly scrolling Instagram, or is all the pages you follow, are they really empowering, inspiring? And are you learning from it? Are you watching Netflix, like the latest trending TV show, or are you listening to audiobooks? You know, where are you spending your money? Are you going out on the weekend? Or maybe you could sacrifice that and invest in a coach, whether that's a business coach or a mentor coach or a health coach. Like, we all have so many choices to make every single day and every single week. Make sure that the choices that you are making are pushing you in the direction that you want to go.
Definitely. You just touched on something there, investing in a coach and investing in those people around you. Is there anyone in your life outside of your husband and business partner that you lend to for advice, or you lend to for, that mentorship?
Taylor at the moment. I've been with him for nearly 2 years. I actually went to him with a back injury, and little did I know that it was going to be a whole, holistic, emotional, mental journey that I just love and cherish so much. I said to him the other day, I'm like, I'll still be here when I'm 80. He's like, bring it on. But before that, I've seen psychologists, I've seen therapists, I've seen healers. Steve and I have a relationship coach that we go to, even when nothing's wrong. It's just great to keep knowing and understanding each other. And been together 12 years, I still learn things about him. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that. And you change and grow so much. So it's really important to still just be checking in and reflecting. And when I was going through all of that online hate, I hired 2 coaches, which you should get on your podcast. They're awesome. Alexi Panos and Preston Smiles. And, my first call with them, I was just ready to end my life, and they saved me. They were incredible. So they were very expensive, but what is the price on your growth, on your health, on your mental health? Once again, where are you spending your money? Like, I'm not saying to go out and spend, whatever I spend on booking them, but it's just a good reality check to check in as to where you are spending your time, money, and energy.
You know what I love? You just said it there. You know, what is that worth? And I don't know. I think your team might have seen it, or you might have seen it. I launched a campaign last night on my Instagram.
I did. That was me. It's incredible.
Yeah, for cystic fibrosis. And it's kind of it was for a different purpose, but we posed the question, what is our life worth? And
Yeah.
it's worth infinite amounts of money. It's worth everything you've got. It's worth your last cent, your dying dollar to invest in who you are. And I love what you said there about investing in a relationship coach, even when there's nothing wrong in your relationship.
Yeah.
Why not be better? Why not get the most out of yourself? And that's something for me. I'm looking for that person in my life right now, and I've been lucky enough to connect with some really amazing people that I've just learned so much from, and not even in this field, but just in a space where I feel like as a person, I get the most out of it. And, I've got the privilege, as you know, with Raw and Real, your podcast, which everyone should go and listen to, by the way, it's almost like this here now. Like I get to hear your story and connect and learn so much that I then apply to my life. And that's something Taylor and I spoke about a little bit. And he shared a theory with me about his training philosophy, which was 50% art, 50% science, which I'm sure you've heard. And that was something that applied really well to my life, where I'd been so routine and so can't be off routine. I have to be calculated. It has to be so thought out. Kind of took the joy out of it. So being able to scale it back, and we learn from the people that we spend our time with. And it sounds like you're spending your time really wisely. You spoke about those tough moments in your life, and people will have had the pleasure to have read all of this in your book. What was that process like? I'm writing a book at the moment. I'm about 75% of the way in, and I thought I knew everything about myself, and God, I've learned a lot. Was that a similar process for you?
Definitely. And even when it published, I was reading back through it. I'm like, oh my gosh, even from when I wrote it to the process of it getting published and doing, all the photo shoots and everything, I was like, oh, I've learned so much in the last even 6 months that I could have put in there. And I like maybe want to write another book. I haven't, but yeah, there's just always so much that we're learning, and we get to share, which is cool. But there is so many, it's called 15 lessons that have changed my life. And they are the main 15 that have really changed who I am and given me the techniques to be able to move through hard times. Because as you said, life is hard. So the more that we can learn and have tools around our belt, I call it, like you're always going to pull out a different tool for whatever situation that you're thrown at. The more tools we have, the more well-equipped we are. And why do we wait until we're at crisis point to reach out for help? And that's my theory with the relationship coach, that people go, oh, why do you guys see a coach? Like, are you getting a divorce? I'm like, why would I wait until things are disconnected and feeling yucky to then get help? Like, why don't I nourish and cherish and look after my relationship like I look after myself going to the gym? Both they're all important. So why would you not invest time, money, and energy into making sure it flourishes and it grows and it's looked after?
You know what it is for me? It's human ego, and we've all got so much of it, right? Where we almost hate to admit that we're not perfect in every area of our life. And it's almost like, I remember almost the first time on my podcast, right? I had 140 5-star ratings and reviews, nothing less. And I'd watch it every day, and I was like, oh, please, no one have, and someone done a 4-star, and I'm like, what have I done? What have I done wrong? And I'm like, sure, I thought I was we all think we're perfect, and that's just the ego kicking in. But being able to accept the fact that we're not, and we can all do with a little bit of growing and learning, it only gets you so much further. So I think that's usually the barrier for people, is we hate to admit that. But the more you become okay with it and accepting of self, the more you grow and the more you get out of life. So, none of us are perfect.
Exactly. And the more you accept yourself, you inspire and give permission for other people to accept themselves as they are. And you can accept yourself and love yourself while you're on the journey to reach to who you want to be and who you want to become. And I heard this saying the other day, I can't remember it word by word, but it's basically this girl that I follow. She was saying, I hated school and I hated being a student, but now she's always going to be a student. Like, we are all students in life. You don't get a book that says, this is how you be a perfect parent. This is how you make a successful business. This is how you do X, Y, Z. Like, we're all winging it. We're all doing the best we can with the challenges we get thrown and things that happen, and we're all navigating our way through. So the more we can just open up and drop that expectation that we're meant to be perfect. And that's the hard thing about being online, is that pedestal thing. I feel like people put me on a pedestal sometimes. And when they meet me, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. And I'm like, I'm just like you. I'm no different. I have flaws. I get angry sometimes. I have emotions. Like I fuck up. Things go wrong. I'm just like you. Like give me a hug. We're just humans. Because I've got X amount of followers or I've done this or that. Like that doesn't matter. Like let's get to the depth of just who we are, and we're both humans with 2 feet and a heartbeat, and let's connect and help each other.
Yeah, I love that. I couldn't agree with that more. I want to make sure that everyone here today gets to continue to follow your journey and continue to learn from you and take the wisdom that you share and all that value you do provide across your multiple platforms. So I'm going to have all the links to everything that you do, which is going to be a bloody lot of links in the description of this show. But one thing I kind of want to leave off on and sort of, it's going to be a little bit niche. So for some of you, I'm sure everyone will get something from this, but we spoke about just before there, that video I put out yesterday. And for me in the last 12 months, connecting with the cystic fibrosis community has been a big part of what I do. It's a part of what makes me who I am. And it's a part of my human story, and a story I feel very blessed to be able to share and have impact in people's lives with. You know, cystic fibrosis is an unrelenting and extremely challenging condition. And I'm so blessed that my good health and good fortune has allowed me to avoid some of the struggles that most people live with every day with this condition. For someone who is, I know you can't relate to CF itself, but you've been through many challenging times in your life. So for someone with cystic fibrosis who is sitting here listening to or watching this interview today, is there any advice that you could give them for some of those real challenges that they're bound to face and the tough times of their life?
The hardest work that I've found the last year or two that me and Taylor talk about all the time is compassion for yourself. Like kindness to yourself is the hardest thing. Like even getting into meditation, I would go into my session to him and I'd be like, oh, I haven't meditated. Like I feel so bad. I know I should be doing this. And he was like, forget the meditation. How you're treating yourself right now, that's what we need to work on. The kindness and love you give to yourself and the relationship that you have with yourself and your body is the most important thing. So compassion and kindness would be my number one. My number two is to not fear failure. What even is failure? Like if I didn't fail and, I opened a cafe once and that fell apart. I've tried many different things and they've fallen apart, and people might look at it and go, oh, Ashley Bynes, what a failure. But I look at that, like if you're not falling over and failing, how are you learning? If you don't make mistakes, you really aren't getting that opportunity to learn. Life is happening for you, not to you. It's one of my favorite quotes from Tony Robbins. And it really doesn't get any when we become a victim. How can we use our story, the cards we've been dealt, what's happening in our lives as empowering and inspiring, not only for ourselves, but for everyone else around us. And you are a walking example of that. You're not sitting here saying, poor me, look at this, it's so much harder for me. Like you're using your platform, your energy, your time to reach people and to help and to spread this message of like, don't give up, no matter what cards you get. Like you've got this one life to live. Like how can we make it friggin' amazing? That in itself is so inspiring.
I appreciate that so much. Ashley Bynes, you are an incredible human being. You are very inspirational, and I feel privileged to have been able to share your story with my audience, and hopefully so many of them come across and join you and join your community. You should be incredibly proud of all you've done. Your story is amazing, and I'm sure that you being the mother you are, the wife that you are, and the human being that you are will have incredible impact for many years to come on so many people's lives. So thank you so much for being here and being a part of the show.
Thank you so much. Awesome conversation.
Pleasure.